As someone who generally hates episodic style, mostly lighthearted anime and manga, ironically, Welcome to Demon School Academy Iruma is one of the best mangas I've ever read. Hear me out, the name sounds goofy I know, but trust me. Iruma is the perfect high school series. It has an original setting, large and lovable cast, amazing plot and constant plot twists that never allow the series to become dull. Almost 250 chapters in, and the series is always introducing new and unique ideas that change the very foundation of the series. Each and every chapter contributing long-lasting development for the world and the characters. It is written and illustrated by Osamu Nishi, starting publication in Weekly Shonen Champion on March 2nd, 2017, running alongside industry legends like Lupin III and Bakido. And I guess Vampire Dies in No Time is also there. Unlike most of these series, Iruma is not nearly as popular, having a small but very dedicated fanbase, which grows as the anime seasons come out, with the third season coming later this year. A perfect time to get into the series. This is why you should watch/read Iruma. The plot follows Iruma Suzuki, a 14-year-old boy whose parents are the definition of terrible. They are so bad to the point where they sell Iruma's soul to the demon Sullivan. Yeah, it does not get worse than this. But Sullivan wanted a grandson, so he adopts Iruma. Now Iruma, living in the demon world, has to attend Demon High School Academy, and as a human, tries to lead as much of a normal life as he possibly can, which means being a background character. Let's just say it doesn't go as he plans. On his first day, he drops some mad shit on the stage and also German suplexes the class representative, so yeah. He gets transferred into the Misfit class and takes part in brutal tests, slowly but surely turning from a regular human into one of the most powerful beings in all of Demon World. But if this was all, I would have dropped the series in a heartbeat. On surface glance, Iruma seems like a very light-hearted, comedic slice-of-life story, but if you look a little deeper, there is a whole world waiting to be explored. Lore about the Demon King who painted the world in his image, the sinister Six Fingers who want to burn down his world, class segregation, war, politics, and eternal strife. But in spite of all this, Iruma still at its heart is a very goofy and light-hearted story which are typical one-off chapters, but it knows when to get serious. The world of Iruma is very unique. It is a mix of Halloween and various other festivals. The aesthetic has this dark and gloomy feel whilst being somewhat goofy. Describes the series pretty well. What makes the world of Iruma so interesting is it has a lot of moving parts outside of the school. Just because we don't fully focus on these aspects, it is made painfully clear that the world has a lot of problems. The instability from a lack of a real leader, wars from the east and south, internal conflicts, and in the newest arc, succession to the demon throne. We learn about the history of the world with the last Demon King Dercula, who painted the world in his image and brought peace to the netherworld, and the opposing force, the Six Fingers, who want to obliterate everything he has accomplished and go back to origins. What this means is, long ago, demons only cared about survival, viciously ripping each other apart, abandoning everything but their instincts. They want to abolish everything the Demon Kings accomplished and go back to the basics. This is a good representation of how far the history of the Netherworld has come. It was an incredibly vicious landscape, and now it is a world that is somewhat similar to our own. All this information opens ways to really explore many different aspects of the story, which will furthermore allow the series to have a long and healthy lifespan, allowing individual arcs and sequences to be completely unique from each other, which will furthermore make the story more engaging and entertaining. Speaking of that, the story has a lot of plot twists. It introduces very different story elements that change the series completely. It knows how to keep things fresh. For example, if you're tired of the main character, we get a lot of focus on the side cast. But if your problem is specifically with the main character, he changes drastically across the series. In one arc, he changes completely. Demons have what they call this wicked phase. Basically what this means is, demons become a little bit more evil, uncontrollable, and edgy. And Iruma falls into this wicked phase, completely changing its personality and by extension, the aesthetic of the whole series. In this very same Wicked phase, we get one of the best moments in the whole manga, to the point where this one sequence I'm referring to made this series go from my top 10 favorite manga of all time to top 5 permanently. It is so good. Even aside from characters and their development, the story arcs also allow for the series to be constantly fresh, because a lot of the major arcs are completely different from each other. For example, in one moment we're dealing with a regular race, in another there is a Six Fingers terrorist attack, and another we're dealing with a battle royale. The story arcs cover a wide range of styles, but through setup and foreshadowing, everything fits believably within this world. There is a certain logical pathway that gets crafted when an arc ends, which seamlessly leads to another arc, and thanks to overarching development for the world, all of these don't feel alien, they feel very natural. But despite all this, Iruma very much so is an episodic series, but it is balanced with major story arcs and proper continuity, to the point where if you skip one of those episodic chapters, you'll be missing a part of the story. For example, there was this one chapter where Iruma explains the definition of soulmates to the Misfit class, and ever since this point, the closest people around Iruma always refer to themselves as soulmates. This very small moment in just one chapter alters the entire perspective on his friends and how they view each other. If this was any other episodic series, this chapter would have been forgotten the moment it ended. But in Iruma, it plays a significant role in the characters. It is incredibly nice. The mangaka in the series itself pays respect to the reader's mind and does not allow any single chapter to become irrelevant. And of course, the same can be said with major story arcs. To give an example, in one arc, Iruma helps the Misfit class gain the Royal One, this incredibly glorious classroom in which the former Demon King Dercula studied at. And since they got it, you would imagine this would come with a lot of consequence and baggage, and it really does. In most of the series, something like this would have been like a background change or a change of scenery, but here, it has a long-lasting development for the characters and the actual story, because having something as pristine as this gives certain expectations on these characters, for them to fulfill it and be better than everyone else around them. This of course becomes a main plot point later on, since characters have to level up and actually keep the Royal One. The series allows these characters to enjoy their spoils, but at the same time, it always gives the negatives as well, perfectly balancing viewer satisfaction and story progression. Speaking of these characters, all of them change drastically as the series progresses. Firstly, the main character Iruma. At first, he starts off as this very shy and scared person, but through character interactions and world experience, he turns from a once cowardly person to a confident and strong warrior, which then gives him the motivation to rise through the ranks and become even more capable. All of these characters just elevate each other. Their every interaction fully displays their relationships and personalities. They really feel like a classroom of friends. Whenever you see them, together or individually, achieve what they set out to accomplish, feels rewarding. Iruma has a lot of characters and the series actively tries to give you a certain amount of all of them, which in turn allows all of these characters to get ample amount of screen time and development. Unlike in MHA where half of the fucking class is absolutely irrelevant now. All of these characters have their problems, home lives, relationships, dynamics, personalities, and this furthermore establishes their individuality within the story. There are no two similar characters, design-wise or personality. They are all very different and so well written to the point where any single one of these characters can easily become your favorite character. It is not restricted on the actual writing, but rather the viewer's personal preference. And this, with such a large cast, is incredibly hard to achieve. The design of these characters also helped to really make them distinguishable and unique. For example, Asmodeus. He is a royal, arrogant, and powerful demon, and you can really tell that just by his design. Same can be said with Caligo. He is very gloomy but sinister, and is actually reflected onto his design. And Clara, yeah, I don't think I need to explain anything with her. Of course I'm oversimplifying them, but what I'm saying is, their designs reflect their foundational personalities. There are dozens of complex layers above this foundation that makes them completely unique from each other and which actually forms their personality. And the best part is, all of them change as the story progresses, making them feel like actual people who change with time. The series also knows which characters are fan favorites, so it actively tries to not show too much of them. It only shows characters when they are relevant to the story, further making their appearance be special and memorable. Now then, for the actual anime. The art and animation in season 1 is really lacking. Season 2 picks up drastically, but season 1 is kinda meh. But when it comes to the manga, like Jesus Christ, the manga's art is absolutely stunning. It is so damn good. Regular panels in and of themselves is good, but whenever it tries to show you actual magic, it goes hard. It is absolutely stunning, and especially when it tries to focus on character interactions. Like, some of these panels actually fully capture what a character feels and their whole personality, just in a single panel. And the same kind of attention to detail is captured within the action scenes. The choreography and detail within some of these panels is just amazing. If you have come this far and you are now thinking of experiencing the series, I have 3 warnings. Firstly, I did say that this series has a lot of serious and dark moments, but keep in mind that it has equal amounts of goof and episodic stuff. So don't go into the series thinking that you will instantly be impacted with this deep philosophical storytelling. So yeah, keep your expectations checked. Secondly, as I said, anime's season 1 has kinda meh art, but the art and animation really picks up in season 2, so if you want to experience good art right off the bat, I would recommend just reading the manga. And lastly, just like most other manga out there, the series does not start off that good. At first it is kinda meh, but it quickly gets better. So I would say give this series an ample amount of time to really display what it can actually do, at least its potential. But if you do actually end up experiencing the series, it will show you one of the best moments in all of manga.